What's up, everybody? I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching The Sit Down. Kevin Heffernan, Steve Lemme. The fellas are back on The Sit Down. What's up, guys? How are you?
What's up, man? Good to see you.
How you doing?
So we talked a year ago. You guys were in studio with me. Obviously, things a little bit different now, but this is before you guys started Tacoma FD. You're making the shift from movies to TV. Kevin, why don't we start with you? What's been most rewarding about this journey so far?
For this second season has been just great. I mean, first of all, we kind of came from the movie world, but doing TV has been great just because the amount of work. Like movies are so like intermittent, but TV's relentless. You do 13 episodes, and it's you're shooting 3 movies in a season, so it's really that's what's great about it. But it also allows you to do more material, which I think is what we really like. It's like we have a lot of jokes that we write and ideas we come up with, and I think TV works well in that world for us to let us get all that stuff out rather than being so precious about the movies that you make.
Steve, how about for you? What's been most rewarding so far?
I mean, Kevin summed it up pretty well. It's nice from a storytelling and acting standpoint. It stays fresh. So, each Monday you come in and you're shooting a new episode, or, in the writing process, you're like, oh, we're working on episode 5 today. And then, we discover that Kevin doesn't like flavored water. And we're like, why don't we just write that into an episode there? And it's fun. It's really fun to do TV and not have to be so attached to every single idea. You can just mess around a lot more.
It's also kind of nice. Awesome. Like we're discovering new audiences, I think, even though we've been around for a while, we've certainly tapped into a kind of fire department, first responders kind of audience, more so even than we had in the past. And I think it's fun. I think we're reaching new people, which is, what we like to do anyway, tell stories.
Yeah, I feel like you guys have had the police officer, firefighter market cornered, but when did you start to sense there were some new people joining in the fun here?
I think, it really started, like Kevin and I have toured around for a while. And while we were promoting Tacoma FD, the show was already starting to run. Now, previously at our live shows, we would have 2 different types of audience members. We would have cops and stoners. And they would be sitting next to each other in the same room. And, what would happen is we like to do a meet and greet afterwards. And so, the cops would come up and they'd want to pose with us and either pretend they had their guns out or they'd show their badges. And then the stoners would come up and they'd be like making weed, gestures. When the firefighters started watching, we discovered a whole new thing, which is that they like to pick people up. So they would lift us up. And first, they would lift me up and put me down just to do it. But then here's the Moby Dick right here. They want to pick up Heffernan. And they would. And, these are firefighters, but they'd be trembling under his weight and trying to smile. But it was just funny to, meet a whole new group of fans, like Kevin was saying.
That's really funny. So how long did it take to get used to being picked up for pictures as opposed to just taking pictures of people?
I've been trying to put a stop to it. I feel guilty. I want to give people hernias and stuff,
How many people is it taking to pick you up, Kev?
I don't know. We were up in Tacoma, and there was a group of female firefighters that there's probably 4 of them, maybe 5 of them. They got me up in the air.
Yeah, maybe more. It usually takes at least 3 dudes. 2 dudes can do it, but they're popping the hernias. 3.
Yeah, they immediately find out that they've bitten off more than they can chew when their legs start to tremble.
Yeah. So are they just trying to show off the strength, or is there any more to that story in terms of firefighters doing this? What's the deal with that?
I don't know. I think they're just aggressive. Firefighters are adrenaline junkies. That's the fun thing, and they're also pranksters. So you put those things together, and I think they're always doing that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I guess the challenge is to pick Heffernan up.
So your show is really funny, and they're just hysterical moments throughout. But when did you guys realize that this was starting to cut through? And what's it like dealing with such a crazy market right now for TV that's so crowded with great shows?
Yeah, I don't know. I think after that first season came out, we weren't really sure, and it really started to resonate with people, and really started to resonate with firefighters and that group of people, which was fun. So I think it became pretty clear that the show was finding an audience, and I think that's part of the TV landscape these days. And pandemics aside, and people stuck in front of their TVs aside, I think it's it's hard to cut through the noise. And I think luckily we were able to do that with the help of truTV, and people were finding the show, and I think people still are. I think they're still, people are still finding the show, which is fun.
It was cool because we've traditionally had a male-dominated audience, and in season 1 we were following the Impractical Jokers,
right?
And they were our lead-in show, and all of a sudden we started getting a lot of female fans, and I didn't realize the Impractical Jokers had such a huge female fan base, but we've gotten it now, and,
that's awesome,
and I love it.
So
I don't mean that in a lascivious way either. I mean, it's just cool to just open up and have
absolutely
more people appreciating what we do.
So what can people expect with season 2?
Season 2, the fun thing was, now after doing season 1, we actually kind of understood who our characters were, and also the actors, the cast that we had, and we knew what their strengths were. And so I think we really started to dive into who the characters were and their personality traits and their weaknesses and their vanities. We started to do a little more, I think, character arcs and things that play out over a few episodes. And also we spoke to a lot of firefighters who liked season 1, and they just told us story after story. And so we've got more true stories in there. And, these first responders, they see some absolutely nuts stuff. And these stories, you wouldn't believe them until you've got a group of them in front of you who are telling you these things. We have a great thing this season, which came from a firefighter, actually Kevin's cousin Bill, who's our technical consultant. He told us a story about how they had to answer a call, and there was this guy who was just out of his mind on drugs, and they were trying to subdue him and also, calm down his heart rate. But what was really agitating him is his doll, and he wanted the firefighters to give CPR to the doll, and they didn't want to do it, but then that was agitating him more. So finally they were like, all right, we have to give CPR to this doll. And so these firefighters actually sat down and gave mouth to mouth, and they're looking at each other, but they're doing it to appease this guy. And we thought that was such a great story. And so we, that's something that we used in episode 3, which is actually coming out in 2 days. And then we got Jeff Dunham to be the guy, and he used one of his ventriloquist dummies. And, so that's the way this season was written, with a lot of these true stories, more true stories than season 1. So
that's a great story. Kevin, you got anything like that sticks with you about the season 2 experience?
Yeah, no, I think Lemmy's right. We started writing these stories, and it's amazing that you realize you could not write this stuff off the top of your head, and the stories that we just had that came in, we just ended up just using a ton of them, and then we got kind of fun other elements to the firefighter world. We have an episode this season, a 2-parter that's at the firefighters ball, which is the big party they have every year. And, just collecting stories about what happens at their firefighter ball and then putting it into an episode, it's just a lot of fun and a great wealth of material,
And the firefighters ball was cool too, because we had a bunch of the real Tacoma firefighters that we've become friendly with come down from Tacoma, and they act in it. They get a lot of good face time. And Kevin's cousin came out from Connecticut. He's a firefighter in West Haven. He came out and acted in it. So, those 2 episodes were just a lot of fun for us to do.
That's awesome. So I found out today is National Beer Day, and I feel like it's a good day to be talking to you guys about beer, given your Beerfest movie. So yeah. When was the last time you guys watched that movie, and what's one of your favorite stories from that experience?
When was the last time I watched Beerfest? I haven't seen it in a long time. I feel like I should show my kids Beerfest soon, but I don't know.
For me, the experience of making Beerfest was kind of weird, because I played a guy with male pattern baldness and a big afro. And so what we did is every day they would shave 3 inches of my hairline back, and then the rest of my hair was permed into this ridiculous afro. And I lived like that for about 3 months. Wow. And we were shooting in Albuquerque, and I think at least 4 times guys just tried to kick my ass for no reason. Live that way for 3 months and be a completely different person, and get threatened, once a week physically.
Wow. Kevin, how about for you?
I feel like this Zoom culture has brought back a lot of beer drinking for some reason.
Definitely.
I feel like I'm getting contacted by a lot of people who just want to drink beer over the internet. And, maybe it's the Beerfest thing, but I think it's just more like people are, stuck in their houses and they want to socialize. A lot of people want to get drunk on the internet these days.
It's true.
Well, yeah.
I did a Zoom yesterday with like 10 of my high school friends, and everybody's got a cocktail. And if you don't, like I wasn't drinking, they're like, "What's wrong with you? Drink." And I'm like, when you do that to me in person, you can't really get me to do it if I've made up my mind. But for some reason on the Zoom, I'm like, okay, I'll drink.
You're sitting safely in your house, Like I got an invite for tomorrow. Like there's got to be 25 of my college friends send out an invite to get on together and drink a beer together. It's like,
Wow.
Well, now here's the funny thing is I got that invite, that exact same invite too. And the subject is chug. So the guy who organized it wants us to get together at the same time and literally slam a beer.
okay.
Right. I mean, these are the times we're living in right now. We need a little levity. We need some laughs, and you guys provide them, and so does Tacoma FD. So looking forward to season 2. Thank you guys for coming on today.
Thank you.
Man. Appreciate it.